Now, tomorrow, Japan marks 5 years since the devastating earthquake and tsunami that killed more than 18,000 people and triggered a nuclear disaster in Fukushima. The fallout forced residents from their homes, rendering many nearby cities ghost towns. Well, 5 years on, and some cities near the nuclear site are beginning to welcome back civilians. In today's Focus Reports, we meet the Wada family who hail from Odaka. The city is only accessible during the daytime, but the Wadas are still keen to return and rebuild their lives in the shadow of nuclear disaster. This report's from Justin McCurry and the team in Japan.
Today, like every other day, Tomoyuki Wada heads to work in Odaka, less than 20 kilometers from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. For now, he's living apart from his wife and children. They're nuclear evacuees in Aizu Wakamatsu, a good distance from the shattered facility. The Wada family were among 160,000 people who fled communities near Fukushima Daiichi after the March 2011 earthquake, tsunami and nuclear meltdown. 5 years on, their abandoned home looks much as it did on the day they left. They say their memories too are intact, but in reality, their lives have changed beyond recognition.
These photos are of important times for our family, back in 2009 and 2010. We put this album together just 3 months before the disaster. When I look at these photos, I realize how quickly time flies. My kids were so small back then.
On the 12th of March 2011, one day after the disaster, Odaka's 14,000 residents were ordered to evacuate. The streets of Odaka, a district of the city of Minami Soma, are largely empty even today. But preparations are being made to reopen Odaka, and Wada is determined to play his part in bringing his old neighbourhood back to life. Faced with an uncertain future, Wada launched a company that manages some of the few small businesses that have reopened in Odaka, beginning with this casual restaurant.
Thousands of residents are thinking of returning, and there are already lots of people doing decontamination work, but there's nowhere for them to eat or buy food. They had nowhere to buy lunch, so I decided to open this restaurant.
The final preparations are being made for Odaka's evacuation order to be lifted. Thousands of workers have been decontaminating homes and streets. They remove radioactive topsoil and load it into big black bags, which are then stored at sites dotting the area. But not everyone shares the Wada family's enthusiasm for returning home. According to one survey, only 14% of former residents say they want to come back now.
People are concerned about radiation, of course, but it's also true that many of them have been living elsewhere for the past 5 years and have got used to their new surroundings. Moving kids to a new school again is another reason why people are reluctant to return.
The future of Odaka's children is the subject of heated debate among residents. A recent petition opposing the planned reopening of Odaka's schools attracted well over 1,000 signatures in just 10 days.
The decontamination work isn't finished yet. The authorities plan to finish decontaminating farmland by March 2017. That means they want to reopen the school even before the farmland has been decontaminated. We can't accept that.
Despite those concerns, Wada and his family are determined to come back. For one thing, they say they owe it to their ancestors.
We didn't build the city and our life here on our own. We owe all this to our ancestors. So we have a responsibility to them, not just to restore the area to how it was before the disaster, but to make a new, even better Odaka.
Since 2012, former residents have been able to visit Odaka to maintain their homes and reopen their businesses, but radiation levels mean they're not allowed to stay overnight.
There was no water supply here on our first daytime visits. We had to bring our own water in buckets all the way from our apartment. Still, we knew we had to come back, no other option.
Ever since the evacuation, there was never any doubt in our mind that we would come back.
Most of the people who plan to return are elderly. The 20 veteran players at Odaka's table tennis club are proof of that. They practice every week at this gymnasium, right in the middle of the otherwise empty district.
People are worried about the children's health. That's why so few of them say they will return. If that's the case, we can't realistically expect Odaka's population to ever recover.
Disagreements among residents meant Odaka's full reopening, originally scheduled for this April, was recently put back, but no one is sure when the last restriction will be lifted. These table tennis enthusiasts could be playing in isolation for some time to come.